Good afternoon and welcome to the webinar titled It Takes a Village, a live demo pairing IoT platforms and asset tracking use cases, hosted by Sensors Daily and presented by Tago IO and Weiser Systems. I'm Matt Durgis, Editor-in-Chief of Sensors Daily Online, and I will be your host and moderator for today's webinar. In this webinar, Weiser Systems Director of Technical Sales, Logan Maxwell, will present a live demonstration of its real-time location system that utilizes new RRLT technology. Logan will be discussing example use cases, implementation, integration, and generalized strategy of IoT deployments. He will then link Weiser's location data with Tago IO's platform in real time to illustrate an example of a real IoT ecosystem. Picking up and following through, Tago IO CEO and founder Fabula will demonstrate how users can make the most of their data streams by adding analytics, notifications, reports, and user management when a sensor system integrates with an IoT platform. This covers the platform from the software side, therefore covering all the bases. Now, before we begin, there are just two items I need to bring to your attention. First, there'll be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. However, feel free to submit your questions during the webinar via the Zoom interface, and we will get to them in order at the end. Also, should we run out of time before we get to all of your questions, we can have them answered via email later. Contact information for both presenters will be available via your chat box during the Q&A session. Second, the webinar is being recorded and will be available later this week on the Sensors Daily website and our YouTube channel. Now, without further verbosity, I'll hand the mic over to Weiser Systems' Logan Maxwell.
Thanks so much, Matt. And let me know if you can't hear me, but I should be broadcasting. And for those who can't see, I also am going to have a video camera feed as well, as I'll be moving around in my office a little bit during this demonstration. So a little bit about myself. I've been working for Weiser for a few years, mostly in the technical sales role as well as special projects. And appreciate everybody joining for our webinar today, where we're going to show you some live action, link things up, and kind of explain all the way from sensors to the end platform software, how IoT fits together in our vision and a very specific example of that sort of ecosystem. A little bit about Weiser. We really do one thing, we do it well. So we make UWB indoor and outdoor locating and positioning sensors. We're really, we think, the best in the world at that, and that is really primarily what we do. And that's why we partner with folks like Tago and other folks to kind of bring actualization out of the location sensor data that we provide. And we are located here in the Research Triangle Park area in Raleigh, North Carolina. All of our manufacturing is done as well in the United States. Just a quick leadership rundown. These are kind of the heads of our company. We've got a diverse staff here, experience in entrepreneurship and small business, as well as highly technical leads, and some folks that have really scaled businesses before, as well as some government experience as well. Broad overview of our system. Essentially, there's two components. There's antennas and there's tags. The antennas are there to read the tag signals, and the tags are to be placed on the assets and items moving around. So although there is some more complexity that I'll get into later, the core components of the system are truly antennas receiving the tag signals and tags on a given asset. So this is a close-up of what these things look like. I'll be showing them more in detail later in my office here for those that have the benefit of seeing the video. But these are our asset antennas and our asset tags. And here's a snippet of the Weiser GUI, which I'll be showing later as well. This GUI is primarily used just to set up the system and start streaming data elsewhere, such as a platform like Tago, which we'll get into. A quick explanation of ultra-wideband versus other technologies. I'm not sure how familiar some of the audience is going to be in what people have done in the past to try to locate indoors and out. Outdoors, GPS really takes the cake there for the most part. It's not super accurate for parking level accuracy, so Weiser does have some outdoor implementations. But where UWB really strives is in complex metal environments. And for IoT, that happens quite frequently in terms of manufacturing and those sort of industrial areas. It's also very scalable. It's also very accurate. So if you're in a non-industrial environment, you can get down to centimeter accuracy. In an industrial environment, we're typically always under a meter. So I'll take a little bit more time on this slide to explain where we're being used, where we're starting to get some pilots, and about what areas and industries are adopting asset management and for what purposes. And we are bound under NDA for a lot of these, so I'm going to keep things generic and broad. If you have more questions, please, we'll be posting my email in the chat as well as later in the slides. So please keep your questions to the end and we'll try to get those answered. There's a few different cases with manufacturing where our tags are used. In particular, work in progress as it moves through a facility is typically barcoded. There's a runner or some sort of paper that's attached to the item as it moves through. Aircraft engines, aircraft parts, anything big and metal, as you see automotive in the bottom left there. This can run the gamut from expensive, cancer radiation machines to giant excavators. But basically the process is the same. The thing moves through and we didn't know when it hits each new area of the facility to trigger actions. And so instead of having just a paper runner and a barcode, I can add a Weiser tag and associate it to that runner at the very first step. And as it moves through its process from cleaning, calibration, you name it, all the processes are different across markets, we can be automatically notified that that is hitting in that zone, and we can create actions and alerts out of that notification through partners like Tago and others who are going to take that location data and fit it into your business processes. We also are working in the bottom right-hand corner, you see an image of kind of fleet management, but this is not fleet management across large distances. This is fleet management when you get it into a yard, into a site. So we can get you space-level precision parking to determine logistics in the sense of how long are these people loading their trucks in which space are they supposed to go to. We can also have, does it need to be washed? Does it need to have maintenance done? All of that can be done on an outdoor level with very granular high accuracy. We also have some supply chain management applications. And in particular, what I wanted to focus on today is actually the person level tracking. So we are able to track individuals with high granularity indoors. And through this, you can have analytics and metrics of movement, lost work. We have folks analyzing how people are working in a fast food kitchen to see how we can reorient the kitchen to best serve in the future when we make new restaurants. How are we going to be able to keep the person who's doing this X job from moving 40 feet over and over and over again? Those are live installations that we have currently, but where we see that heading is in the healthcare and with COVID-19 is you can do contact tracing, right? So with Weiser as a core sensor technology, we can get you the very accurate indoor precision location. And once you have that data, we could say, hey, how far are you from tag to tag? Well, that's social distancing. What rooms were you in what order, right? We can have digital lockouts of each given area because we have that precise coordinate information. And also from that, say I get, all of a sudden I'm diagnosed and I'm sick. Well, we have the digital footprint of where you've been, and we can rewind that information for months, however long you choose to store the data, right? I'm sure there'll be some additional questions on other use cases, but I'm going to go ahead and move through and to the real meat and more exciting thing to see, which is actually the sensors working here in my office. And to explain what I've done prior to this discussion is I've actually set up 5 antennas in our office here. It's just me, don't worry, still being safe. COVID-19. But basically these antennas, there's 5 of them, and they've been placed throughout my office, which you'll see on a floor plan later. This system can be wireless, or it can be plugged in via Ethernet. The topology that I've put on the screen here, that I hope you all can see, is essentially showing 4 antennas, 2 of which are completely wireless. They just have power, over 110 or battery, and 2 of which are wired, right? All the tracker tags are communicating, all of the antennas are communicating wirelessly. That's all being sent back via a Weiser gateway back to the Weiser software. And that's what I'll be showing, us taking that data, figuring out the coordinate position. And then we can send that data to Tago and others to take that information and create actionable insights, analytics, alerts, all of that. So some limits of the system quickly, we have very large scale installations, hundreds of antennas contiguously. Typically in a given site, you'll actually split up per building. It doesn't make sense to really connect all the meshes that way, but we can theoretically get up to thousands of antennas. And we can establish here in the room, so to speak, about 1,000 tag updates a second, right? So I'm sure there'll be some more technical questions. Please feel free to send them, and a lot of which we can probably answer offline. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to stop sharing this screen, and I'm going to be sharing the Weiser GUI. So pop that up there. So what you should be able to see now, I hope, is the office floor plan. This is an aerial view, and I've already set up the antennas to communicate. What's really nice about our antennas is they all wirelessly communicate and set their positions. So although this is a moderate-sized office, I can set up a mesh like this in about 5 to 10 minutes. For a larger site, it would take half a day to a full day, depending on how many antennas you had. But what's very important is that all of the communication is done wirelessly, and we do not require line of sight. As you can see, I'm in the bottom office here that I've highlighted in blue, made a little geofence, and Tago will be using that geofence information later. And I do not have any line of sight out into the facility. So if you're familiar with asset tracking, that's kind of something that's a little exciting in a way, is that we do not require line of sight, and we can actually get very high precision in these indoor environments. So I'm live right now, and I actually have some tags in front of me. So if you do not have the privilege of being able to see my video, basically I'll be holding 2 tags up in my hand, and I'm going to be moving slowly away from my desk. And as you can see in the video there, we can actually tell the difference between both of my hands. And so if I move them closer together here and farther apart, we can see we're actually able to get granularity and of a few inches likely in this environment. Now, every industrial environment is a little bit different. I'm not going to promise we can get you a few inches in an automotive manufacturing facility with large metal cages and welding, but when we are installed in those environments, and we are, typically under 1 meter is expected, and typically 1 to 2 feet, to be perfectly frank. So in essence, this is what the Weiser GUI is meant to do. It's meant to set up a system, calibrate all the anchors, and get coordinate data streaming. And this is really where our product offering ends. And this is what's so special about IoT deployments and the IoT ecosystem that I keep mentioning, is that there's going to be a lot of links in the chain to provide, so people can specialize, companies can specialize at what they're good at and pass the torch, so to speak, right? So what I've done now, this is all installed locally on my computer. This could be on a VM. All of that could be running wherever you want it, as long as the Weiser software, as I mentioned in that topology earlier, has communication to the Weiser gateway, where all the antennas are sending their information. As long as those 2 are talking, Weiser is computing coordinate points. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing again, and I will start sharing the Tago platform. So what I've done here is I have actually set up a middleware on this computer that's essentially taking my coordinate points and sending them to the Tago platform. And I'm going to let Fabio explain this a lot more than myself, but as a quick run through, you have multiple dashboards. You can see here, all of a sudden I can analyze, I can create actions and reports, I have user systems. All of this is not possible out of the box with Weiser. You certainly have great indoor location position, but this is what's so important about collaboration in the IoT. I can take this information and I can send it to a platform that can synthesize all of that and create custom logic and reporting and analytics for a given use case. And what's really nice about Tago and special about Tago is it gives you the ability to do that quickly, custom, and at your bidding. And I'll let Fabio explain more in that sense. But to recap, I'll go back to the presentation here. To recap, essentially, dashboard integration is going to allow you to utilize your information, actualize it, take it, great. A lot of folks want to start, give us the data, great. You're going to have a bunch of data because these ping, frequently. But wouldn't it be nice to have pre-built widgets to analyze, to give yourself metrics? How far did this move? How often did this move? And use those, how far, how often, all of those metrics to create rules and alerts through logic systems, right? So if this travels too far, send a note. Hey, this forklift got used too many times compared to the forklift 12, right? So now let's make sure that folks are using this other forklift. All sorts of those things can be possible. There's a lot more detail we can go into there, in particular with the specified use cases that Weiser has done, but I don't want to take up too much time on my end, and I want to leave a lot of room for questions at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the torch on to Fabio to kind of explain, once the data gets into his system, how we can take it from there. So without further ado, I will pass that on to you, Fabio, and I'm going to stop sharing on my end, and you can start sharing from yours. So thanks, guys.
Great, thank you very much, Logan. I'm gonna share my screen here, 1 second. I hope you all can see my presentation now. So Fabio Rosa, I'm the CEO and founder of Tago. Very excited to be here, share with you how Tago can help to build applications with a partner like a Weiser system. I think that's one of the best demo that I can see here, because it's very exciting to see things moving and seeing results in real time. So first, about Tago. When we started the company many years ago, we had a very clear goal. We really wanted to offer an end-to-end cloud platform that would transform the way business would create value from two things, from connected products and user interaction. So we knew that this would not be only about IoT, but mainly about people. So how people would interface with the product would be something very essential. So that we built the platform, and now we have a nice number of developers and companies building applications in different segments, in different verticals. It's not only asset tracking, but it's also for coded chain management, safety, services, predictive maintenance, hospitality, and many others. Because our platform is very customizable, so that the elements that you have available really can make this happen for different cases. So first, we are also here located in Raleigh, North Carolina, in the Triangle Park. We have our customers, collaborators here, but also around the globe. So as per now, we have more than 4,700 developers using our platform around the globe. They are doing real applications with IoT primarily, but sometimes they really use for even other things, and you know why. And we are present in more than 100 countries so far. It's gave them possibility to create the solutions that we not even thought before. So that's why you have more than 1,000 real applications where customers start to scale those applications. Sometimes you have one customer one big account that has different applications under the same account. So that's is a lot of work from our side to make sure that all components are available. And I hope you can have a very good idea here why that's possible. Before I go to the detail of the platform that somehow people associate with a dashboard, but you see here that's much more than dashboard, let me tell you a little bit about the things or the key characteristics that I believe that makes sense to share since the beginning, because that's what customers that is in the segment and the market that we're looking for really like about Tago. First, is about customization. Each part of our ecosystem can be customized. Can be mainly just a widget, a color, a map. It can be something like engine, analytics, or connector. It's really very customizable. The second one that's very powerful. So the platform allows you to build a visualization, but also can use our engine to generate reports, to track users, to integrate with other systems, and communicate maybe with some AI or machine learning as well. The third point is that that's for business. We have makers using our platform. They're welcome. You have a free account. I'm going to talk more about that. But it's not in a sense that it's just for business, but it's really help business because of the return of investment. We have customers that are very small, like startups, mid-sized companies, but also have big enterprises that use our system. So we want to make sure that we can deploy the tools for our customers in a reasonable price while they still keep control of their data, because everything that is done here is owned by our customers, not by us. And the fourth is that we go really beyond IoT. IoT is very interesting. You talk about the sensor, but at the end of the day, we know that it's important to have a very nice way to integrate solution like the one you're talking here with Weiser system right now. But maybe that's not enough. Maybe the company say, okay, great, I want to integrate this with my backend system, my backbone in my company. Yeah, we have APIs to do that. So these are the main reasons why you really may like Tago. Let me talk a little bit here before going to a specific case with Weiser about the ecosystem, so you can understand the position where Tago fits in the overall ecosystem. So overall, this picture here show the key components when you talk about bringing information from the sensor to the enterprise, okay? From the left to the right. Okay, or maybe you want to get something in the left also as actuator, which means that you may want to send information back to the sensor. That's fine, Tago can do this as well. So starting from the left, you have what you call end node, that is the sensor. So this sensor, for Tago perspective, can basically be anything. We don't design the sensor, we don't sell sensor, but you have hundreds of different types of sensors in our portfolio ready to go. And if it's not ready, available, it's always possible to add them and create a kind of a driver, what you call connector. This information comes to a gateway, depend on the type of a connectivity, that is the network part, you may have already this ready to be used. For example, LoRaWAN connectivity. We work with a lot of companies that provide a LoRaWAN connectivity so that the backend is already connected in a secure way from the network to Tago and vice versa. If the sensor uses something different, like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee, Z-Wave, or 3G, it also can be connected. So what's very important to mention here that we have this session called middleware that does the connection between the sensor and network and Tago. Then at the application level is where our customers will build their application. They start using Tago IO with the blocks that you have for data visualization, mobile app, analysis, notification, reports, and then also can integrate for the system. They can integrate something out from what you offer. For example, if you want to integrate with some specific analytic tools that are is in the market right now, we can use our API or Google Sheets or Google Docs Dropbox, it's possible to implement a simple integration and also connect this with the enterprise. Then developers using the Tago IO. And at the end of the day, this solution, that's a nice part about Tago, is also that this can be deployed under your brand, your logo, and the end users that are your customers will use and access your platform. Tago IO will disappear. That's done through what you call run. Tago run is the way to deploy the solution. So basically, very quickly, these are the key components that we have at Tago. We have much more details, but basically we have device management where you can check if the data is coming. You can get a notification if, for example, the device stopped sending data. Okay, what's happened? What's the problem? So we have means to check this for you. Then you can store the data at the Tago. That's interesting because maybe we don't want to store here. Maybe we want to just get a pass-through and store in your local database. That's possible as well. We have API, so we automatically eliminate the data from our database and keep the data on your server. Or you just use your server just to get information when you want. Then you have the analysis, and that's very important because when you talk analysis, it means that we can create algorithms here. We can create machine learning AI in our side that are gonna be run in real time. So the data arrive, we generate a calculation and take a decision in a fraction of seconds. Or you want to send this every day or every Monday morning, you want to send a report to your customers, you can do this here as well. Of course, then you have the dashboards, and dashboards are really nice. You can create them and make them available through the browser or the mobile app. Everything that you build in our browser, what you call admin, can be used later to show up in the mobile app as well. Remember I told you that you go beyond IoT. So we go also with the management of users and access management, because we note that's extremely important. We want, not we, but our customers want to manage different level of access. They want to give one visualization for one director and another one for other director or for supervisor. So you can do this using Tago. And for last but not least, we have the option of a white label. You can eliminate everything from Tago and have your own brand. How does work with Weiser system? In this case, as Logan showed before, basically you have, let's say, in the left side here, the sensor. You are capturing the location or additional data that the sensor sent, but let's say XY. This goes to the local computer. Okay, everything is processed locally. Then what we did with Weiser, we create a very simple but robust agent that goes inside of the local computer. So locally, get this information in the rate that you want. Let's say that you want to get to 1,000 sensors in a fraction of a second. Great, you do this. Then you decide to send this to the cloud. Maybe you don't want to send this so fast because maybe there are restrictions in the data link, or maybe it just is cost that is not necessary. So you define in this agent how often you want to send the data outside, okay? Then this agent is already configured to send information through HTTPS to Tago. So on the right side is where you can have this access, the access of information that the Weiser system generate basically in real time. And you can create a lot of things like reports, geofencing. You can generate automatically emails and notifications for different type of users. Can be simple or can be very complex, depending on your process. Then you have, of course, a mobile app. That's a big plus. Of course, the dashboards, white label, store the data, and you can manage the users. You can manually input the users one by one, or you can get a spreadsheet with a lot of users that you want to access information, or you can allow them to sign up by themselves. Okay, so so far, I hope it gave you a very good idea, but now let me go and present to you our platform itself, okay? So Logan already presented the platform quickly, let me tell you about the key components, what you can do with a Tago. Okay, so that first, that is the same account that Logan was using before. And here Logan user created his application and he added me. So it means that when you have this and you are building something, you can build with other people. You can collaborate. That's very important because we know IoT can be complex. You may have a lot of experts who work together in different areas. So first, you have here one dashboard that Logan showed with the sensor that's there right now. This area here show how this can be created. So you can edit, you can modify the size, you can modify the pins, you can add widgets. That's the part that you can go and get map, display, input form, charts, gauges, tables, and even custom widgets. That's very nice. That's something new that we released recently that allows you to basically do anything. If you want to add a camera, if you want to add a VR, or maybe you don't like our map that we use and you want to use Google Earth instead, you can do it. So it's very important to have this information nowadays because we know that there are a lot of different applications. So basically, it's very simple to select the widget. I'm not going to use all the details here right now, but you can do this and you can get your dashboard the way you want. The other part that we have here are these buttons here on the top. That's basically one that is related to the device. So there are a big range of devices. For example, here we have these devices that are available to be connected. If you want to measure temperature in the room, for example, if you want to detect people, that can be used together with the Weiser system. It doesn't need to be works and display in a different dashboard if you don't want. So there are a lot of things, and why the system is here because we already created a connector. So if you use Bluetooth, 3G, any connectivity, basically, even satellites, we have here ready to go. So when you select a certain device, you are able to register, and then the data will arrive here. For example, in the simulator I'm going to show later, you can see the variables. So these are the variables. If the sensor sends X, Y, Z, you'll be able to see here X, Y, Z, temperature, humidities, and so on. We have also a session here that allows you to upload files. For example, I used this here before with a logo to upload their logo, the floor plan, some spreadsheet, some data. So you can use this for this purpose as well. Remember, that Tago really goes beyond IoT. It's not only about bits and bytes. The part that we know customers will benefit a lot is really what you call the analysis. Analysis where you can create code or we can help to create. Most of our customers design by themselves because this documentation is available. We explain with webinars, videos, tutorials, how to create. But you can come here and create a simple file that will allow the system to detect when something happened. Let's say every morning, 7 a.m. generate reports. And that is the area that you're going to do that. You can program here in JavaScript or Python or C language, Java, C Sharp. It is up to you. If you want to run this at a Tago, you take care. We accept JavaScript and Python so far, but you can run in our system or you can work and run this external, maybe in your machine. Maybe you already have the algorithm. Maybe you say, hey, Fabio, I want to work with Weiser. Great. I want to get this data and I want to run in my server that's in other place. Great. We can create this connection between the data that's coming to our platform and your system. And you don't need even to open anything for us. We just pass the data and get the result from you. As Logan mentioned before, also we have the actions. The actions are very nice and very easy to do. Basically, you can create action to generate alert, for example. When something in one device change, in this case here, talk about contact tracing. Let's say that's giving in food. So if it is something that a measure is less than 6 feet, do something. In this case, I can send a notification to myself. I'll show you this working. But you also could send an email, SMS. You can run a script, run analysis that maybe could push data to other system, to the system that you have in your company right now, things like that. So there are a lot of options that you have here in terms to take action. What's very important that when you combine actions with analysis, you start to have a very complete tool that that is not going to have a limit basically, because you can get information from inside or you can work with a web service as well. So these are the key things. I'm going to talk about the others later. Let me go a little bit to the dashboard. Okay, so let's get this example here that's related to contact tracing. As I'm pretty sure everybody got here so far, everything can be done for the application that basically you want, okay? In this case, what I did here was I create a dashboard, and the first thing we did was adding a marker, what you call marker, that basically allows you to come here and create a layer that basically upload the floor plan, and then you can add the pin. This information here, in this case, I'm using the simulator just to make it easier, but very similar, and of course it works perfectly with the Weiser system in real time. Then I also add here additional dials display, and this information is coming from the calculation that I want in our analysis. So if I come here and try to simulate this just to see how this works, I'll be able to see these in a real application. I'm just doing this now. So I just create a button here that's for simulation purpose. Okay, so I have two persons here walking inside of the plant, the office that the logo is there. So basically you can see one here, let's say is John, the other one is Mary. So now they got closer. Okay, so the sim is detected that they are getting close. They're still close. You can see the distance here in real time. So the status changed to red, but they're not supposed to be that close in this example again. Okay, you see the temperature, the sensor may be measuring the temperature here in real time. So this person is moving here and then going to the office, for example. Okay, so in this case here, you see I didn't finish yet, just a second. I think there is more one step. Yes. In this case, you can see that the distance between them increased a little bit, but here you see that the distance is still just 4 feet, right, below the recommendation. However, what we did here in the logic, and that can be adapted for any kind of logic, was basically we are able to add, let's say, a geofence where we identify the person. In this case here, we have, let's say, Mary, okay, Mary here. So she's inside of the office. Okay, let's say that Logan will not be here because now he's here, but let's say we identify that she's the only person here inside. And here we have a wall because I have the door. So this person here, John, is outside, so he's not present risk. Of course, I'm not the expert here, just went to my understanding. These generate a protection, right? If you have a wall here. And because of that, we can see that both, again, are green. Okay, of course, everything here is real time. In this case, use a simulation, but you can have the history. You can go here and get the table. So you see in a time table here, when the events happen, when it calculates, and when something was detected. In this case, it detected this time. Remember when they both are close to the kitchen, they are very close. So for during this period of time, they really were too close. But here they were isolated. So basically, we creating the script to say if someone is inside, isolate, it's not present a problem. Of course, this can be more complex. You have more people, right? In this example is for 4 people. So even if the distance between them is just 4 feet, they are isolate. So again, that's an example to show how things can work here. You can have information in real time, and you can get more things. For example, if you extend a little bit here, you can go to the map and have a geofence. You can create a geofence. We have tools that you can have geofence in radius or polygons, and you can define what you want. In this case, I want to be notified when somebody enters here, okay, or when somebody leaves this area. So it's up to me. When I do that, if somebody's here inside and leaves, I'm gonna receive notification. And by the way, when I did that simulation, I received some notification here showing that the distance between tags or people, of course, is up to us. Everything that's here is customizable. That we had the 3 events, so I can ignore. Also, these tags here I can change, like ignore, notify me, okay, whatever you want to do, you can do by yourself. So I just clean up everything here. So it shows that you can have one example like that done quickly, and you can add intelligence on top of that. The last thing I want to show here is that you can see that this is running in Tago. That's nice, but when you go to your customer or maybe your users, what you want to do is give you add your brand here. So this is something that you can do using Run. Run, you can configure almost everything, like the image here, the sign up page that you see, it will be the same show up in the mobile app. Okay, you can connect, for example, the domain. In this case, the domain is Weiser, can be something different. It's up to you if your domain. You can select the colors. In this case, I selected black colors here on the top because I think it matches well with Weiser. I added this nice picture here for the sign up page. The form, I can come here, change opacity. I know that all these are really details, but I think it's very important because when talking about brand, I think that's extremely important for the customers. Even for the buttons here, you have something that you can pre-format. For example, in this case, when customer come here and press contact us, I add here a page that is from Weiser to make appointment to get a demo. So that's really cool. I'm gonna show you this in 1 second. So there are a lot of options here. And then when customer go there, okay, I'm not gonna save this, that's fine. When customer go there, they will show up in your list of users. So you see who are access your system and how they operate, and then you can grant access for them. So let's go there. Just 1 minute here, almost done. So, okay, so you see that's the application. So there is no toggle here, just a little bit here small, but this can be removed. And when the user enter here, you'll be able to see the same thing because I gave authorization for this person, that's John Doe, to come here and visualize the same thing I did it. Okay, let me see. Yeah, I allow him, for example, to come here and change the radius. So you can grant access for the person to do that. For example, remember about the button here? You see the page from Weiser system that maybe is the page from your company can be here inside. And maybe you have a video explain something here. In this case, if I come here and really add my name now and submit, pretty sure that Logan is going to receive and be happy to schedule a demo with me. Okay, so basically that's about Tago, how does it work. The last thing is you can start anytime. We have a free account. You can connect the device up to 5 devices. You just go to tago.io, get started, and you can go and get our documentation available, a contact with us, also have a community. Okay. So yeah, that's from my side now. So let me go back to Matt.
Okay, thank you, Fabio, and thank you, Logan, for some great presentations there. We have some questions for you both. The first one is from Tyran, and this is for Logan. You mentioned contact tracing with the tags using UWB. How accurate is the 2M social distancing restriction versus technology like BLE? BLE can have issues when objects are put between 2 BLE devices.
Right, exactly. So Bluetooth and UWB are very discrete, different technologies, and why UWB has an edge in terms of its accuracy, which I hope you were able to see during that presentation, is it's basically utilizing a lot of frequency. It's a wide band, and so it's much easier to determine the signal to noise ratio. So essentially, where just looking for the signal, we can find it associated against all of the reflections. So whereas Bluetooth probably has more problems with reflection, UWB does not. That being said, to clarify, people are water, and that is an impedance to signal, so signal can attenuate. In any given environment, we're around a meter is kind of a nice, safe estimate for our accuracy. So it should be sufficient for most all social distancing guidelines. As you saw in my office here, we're very much under that in the sense that we're probably within a few inches. But it really is going to depend on your environment. So please send me an email, and I just with a brief description of the site, I could probably give you a much better estimate. But typically around a meter is where we're at. I hope that helps answer your question.
This is for the attendees. I just want to make you aware that the contact information for both Fabio and Logan is in your chat box. You might want to make a note of it in case we don't get to all of your questions. The next question is also for Logan. It's also from Tyran. Is what is the battery life of the devices with such frequency, with such frequent polling?
Yes, that's a great question, and it's going to depend on two things. There's an active rate and a resting rate. Both are configurable by the end user. So I can set them to whatever I want them to be at a maximum of about 8 hertz and a minimum of about once every 15 minutes. As a reference point to do your own calculations, we use a CR2032 coin cell. And if you're moving 8 hours a day out of every day and chirping once a second while you're doing that, your battery is going to last about 1 year and 9 months. So if you're obviously chirping double that and moving 8 hours a day, it's going to be half that rate. Or if you're chirping it once a second and moving 16 hours a day, it'll be half that rate as well. So that'll be a good point to start. And again, I can send you a battery calculation chart via email.
Okay, now we have a question for Fabio. In the demo, how is an individual's body temperature being captured?
Yeah, in this case, it's really dependent on the sensor. Okay, I know about this capability. When Weiser added this sensor, and the logo you can confirm here. But for us, just tell about our side, from the Tago platform, all the sensor information that is sent to us can be processed and displayed. Logan, can you confirm this?
Sure. So in our case, there is a temperature sensor on the tag, but it measures ambient air temperature around it. So for a contact tracing use case, in particular for health concerns and body temperature, you would want to have a more robust temperature sensor attached to someone, and we can actually send that sensor data over our network or just directly to the Tago network. For us, it would take a little bit of development to work in those sensor feeds. It's possible, but it would take a little bit more development. The simpler, quickest path would have a separate, robust temperature sensor, send all that information to Tago, and read it both from the same platform.
Yeah, and just quickly here, by having this additional sensor, you are able to combine in the same for the same person using Tago Platform.
Okay, great. We have another question for Fabio. Can I code my own scripts at Tago.io in any language, or am I limited to just JavaScript?
Great question. Tago, we work with any language. The only thing is that if you want to run your script in Tago, in our server, that's very easy to do. We take care about everything you don't need to worry about. You have 2 options, JavaScript and Python. What you call running in Tago.io. If you want to use any other language, you still can do it by running externally. Let's say that you have something in your own computer or Microsoft Azure. So it's possible to create a tunnel, very straightforward to do that. You have a video showing how to do that. There is not even cost for that. You can do it. So basically, that's why you say that the analysis can be done in any language.
Okay, I got another question here for Fabio. If I have information about my customers and users in another software inside my company, can I integrate it with Tago.io?
Yes, totally. You can integrate it. Tago will not only, again, get the information from the sensor, but using the API is possible to cross information. Let's say that you have a customer that's company A and company B, and they have assets that are coming from their system that they already created and developed for many years. So if they have an API, somehow a way to get, it's possible, then our system will collect this information and do a cross reference between that specific tags to the tags of the information, in this case, of course, with Weiser system.
Okay, great. We got another question for Fabio. This is from Badri. Is there a list of sensors that are compatible with Tago?
Yes. If you go to tago.io/devices, you can see hundreds of devices that are already integrated and certified with Tago. Nonetheless, it doesn't mean that only those devices are going to work with us. If you are doing a design right now, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be in a list. You can still create a connector. We have in our documentation, I forgot to show you, but basically there's a question mark on the top right. You just click there and type like integrating devices or parsing data, and you'll be instructed how to create this connector by yourself. If you have a question, we have a support. You just click on the support and open a ticket to be glad to help you.
Great. I have a question here. This is probably for both of you. Ehab wants to know, and this is kind of like in two parts because he put an addenda to the first part of the question. So how many other temperature sensors are required? What type of a sensor, mobile sensor, and could you give an example? And he says, I meant body temperature sensor. So how many sensors are required and what type of sensor? Are they mobile sensors? And I guess he's referring to body temperature sensors in general.
Right. I can jump in, but I do have less knowledge in the sense that our company doesn't provide body temperature sensors. But to my knowledge, there are body-worn temperature sensors with various accuracy. If you're looking for very precise accuracy, there's only certain parts on the body that will give you that. In particular, there's some military contract folks that we've been working with that have developed temperature sensors that go on in the helmet to prevent stroke for overheating in training exercises. So I know they exist. There should only need to be one sensor per person in the sense that they can send out their information via some data backhaul, probably cellular is what's utilized. But I have less information. We might need to take that offline unless Fabio has some more information on his side.
Yeah, it really depends. We used to say that we're expert in platform help customers, but the customers have normally the knowledge. But we are doing a case right now, real one in the Latin America, I think it's in Chile or Argentina, where the customers are using wearables and send information to us and we process that. I don't have details of that, but if you want to shoot me an email and describe what you're looking for, we can see if the supplier can help you to deploy the sensor, because of course each application in our experience always have some specific that really need to be discussed about.
Great. Well, just by for your reference, Ehab says that was a great answer. I got another one here. This is Bob wants to know about a rough range on antennas and the effect on accuracy.
That's again a great question, and the short answer is it depends, and I'll expand there a little bit, time willing. So essentially, antennas in a very tight industrial space with very limited line of sight to no line of sight will probably be at about a 50-foot grid. In essence, you can imagine antennas around the facility from wall to wall, filling in the space in between at around a 50-foot grid. Outdoors with perfect line of sight conditions, we can place these antennas somewhere around 125 to 175 feet apart. Again, that's with perfect line of sight. If you have a pretty wide open warehouse with good line of sight, just there's some columns in between, maybe some racking, probably about a 100-foot grid. That hopefully helps with that. And all of those estimates are assuming that meter accuracy level or under. The way the system works is a mesh. So if you have less antennas, instead of it having less accuracy, you're actually not going to get any data because we're having to triangulate the position of points. And you need at minimum just a square of antennas to start that. And then you can add on from there. So instead of kind of a beacon-based system where they're kind of measuring signal strength as you move by and they're trying to figure out your position, we have a grid of antennas. So if you start taking antennas out of that grid, you risk, instead of just losing accuracy, you actually just would not be calculating. So all of those estimations are based off of tight precision. I hope that helps.
Okay, great. Well, that's all we have time for today. Well, wait a second. Wait a second. We got one last question came in. By the way, Bob says that was a great answer, Logan. Ehab also wants to know, could I click on an icon of a person in the platform and type a message? Would the message be able to go to his or her mobile device, for example, move to gate 6 or whatever?
Yep, that's possible with the custom widget. We have, I think, 20 something, maybe 2 widgets. We have some what we call info box. In the info box, you can have links. And these links can go to another dashboard, more detail. But if you want to do something very specific that's not there, and we see a lot of value in that because that maybe sometimes is your main differentiation in the marketplace. You can do that. You just should take a look in our documentation, looking for a custom widget. Again, you have my email. Shoot me an email if you need any help.
Okay. Once again, you know, got a compliment from Ehab. He says, awesome. Thank you, guys. And now it is definitely, we are out of time for today. I want to thank Logan from Weiser Systems and Fabio Rosa from Tago IO for great presentations. And I want to thank all of our attendees for spending time with us today. Once again, a recording of this presentation will be available for download at sensorsdaily.com and our YouTube channel later this week. Be sure to register for our upcoming webinars and visit Sensors Daily for your daily dose of technology news. Thanks and have a great day.